Welcome to this video. My name is Lawrence. I'm going to talk about how to market a launch. This is pretty evergreen and you can use it for events, webinars, products, community. And I'm just going to show you the framework that I always follow when it comes to making a launch and actually making a marketing plan around that. Now I'll tell you the conclusion right away. And the biggest thing is planning it out. So I'm going to show you what I've done before, how I've done these things, what you can kind of do. And pretty much that's it. So it's very easy. It's very, easy to execute this, to follow this, but it might be helpful for you. And I have to record this video because I want to train my team on how to do this too. I wanted to record an SOP, and then I was like, wait, actually last week I had to record something similar for a client, and then I was like, what if I just make like a good video and just put it all together? So that's what I'm doing here. It's a little bit of a high level overview of how to market a launch, right? So that's what we're going to discover. Now we're going to jump right away into it and showing you what I've done before. So since 2023, I've done a variation of different type of things. So I did a small meetup in Amsterdam with 10 people. I've done various LinkedIn trainings myself. So this is more similar to like a webinar. One of them got about almost 200 attendees. This works very well to convert people, get them, to pay your services, whatever. So I've done various of these type of trainings that I hosted and marketed. I worked with a lot of different type of people, clients, other companies I've worked with. And one of the companies I've worked with is from Joshua, which was back in 2023. And he's made a lot of money through webinars, very successful through this. And he said that when I helped him prepare his webinar, it's the best webinar I ever did. So, a great credibility piece there as well. Done a lot of community launches, things like that. So this is another community we launched last year. We did about 35 sales in 24 hours, which is a very low ticket community. But all we did there was essentially an announcement and an email, which was very short. And, there's a lot more to do it. So I'm showing you that. But I want you to know as well that there's all these variations of things you can launch and market for. We had client Joe, it's a client of ours, which this year he is doing his first in-person masterclass, and for him we helped him prepare essentially the landing page and all of that stuff, and he made about 10K in dollars within 24 hours, actually within half a day for the ticket sales, right? So a lot of different things. Now last year also I was the main producer of the B2B V2V in London, which was a event specifically focused in the real estate environment where we had C-suite attendees, but we had 15 speakers and 80 paid attendees, right? So done a lot of variations of these things. And that's why when it comes to how to market a launch, it's evergreen. And I'll show you kind of the ins and outs. So mainly what you're looking at is the following. If you want to market a launch, there's 3 phases, right? So it's before the launch, it's the actual launch, and even after the launch. Now, in terms of the timeline, this could vary, but an ideal time frame, especially if it's something digital, is 1 to 4 weeks. If it's something in person, I would always be inclined to do it longer, like 2 months, 3 months. But you want to have some sort of timeline so you can use that to map things out. And the reason you want to have these different phases and to plan out everything broadly is because if you are launching something, if you're doing a webinar, if you're selling, a new product, if you have a community, if you're doing an event, your main goal as part of your business is pretty much that you want more money, right? That's what we're doing. You could have a different end goal in mind. It could be attendees. It could be attention to, an activation of a real estate property, all these different type of things. It could be the start of something new you're doing within your ecosystem. So maybe that varies a little bit, but essentially you want to make money, and that's why you're launching it and you're taking in efforts to prepare something. You're not just creating it and throwing it out, but you're planning it. And I'll show you kind of why you want to plan this, right? Because if you're saying one time to your audience, you say, hey, check this out, this is what I'm doing, here's the link and buy it, people could see it, right? But if you continuously do that for a period of time, people are more interested, people are more conditioned, and you're activating and leveraging all the channels, all the attention and all the resources you have to properly do this. So you're basically, instead of saying something once, you're saying it like 60 times within like a week or so, right? That's what you want to do. You want to plan it out so that you have more proactive activities in order to get the sales that you want. Now, also you can look at this from the following perspective, right? So if you look at what Neil Patel has been saying in his studies, is that essentially people need to interact with you multiple times before they buy from you. So if you market something, your likelihood of getting more attendees, getting more sales is going to dramatically increase if you do more actions and have more proactive activities, right? So very basic, but that's really important to keep in mind. Now, if you look at kind of what to do, there's a variation. Everything that you can do in the world of marketing is something you could apply for when you're marketing a launch, right? So think about social media, all the different channels. It could be the Instagram, LinkedIn, X, whatever you're using. It could be things like a Telegram. Could be your email list, so you can schedule out campaigns, which is something we're going to talk about because it is very important. You can promote it to your email list. You can even do outreach where you reach out to your warm connections or relevant connections or your past clients, or you're essentially reaching out to new people. You can run ads. There's all these different things you can do. Depending on how and what and how big it is, there's different things you can explore as well. So, you can do emails. You can also do SMS marketing, of course. One of the things you see here is like the leverage partners. So if you're doing a really big launch, which could be something like a new company or a very big product, you can also have a longer time frame where you have different partners, right? So you have a partner who's also promoting it to their audience, and you have some sort of affiliate product or whatever you kind of do. You can obviously, leverage media. You can do press announcements. You can create success stories from people who've already gone through it or are within your ecosystem. Use that in your marketing. You can tease kind of what's coming up, right? So something you see a lot in, especially back in the days, but what you see in Web3 type of companies, which is a lot of high based. You don't want to reveal everything at once. You want to, segment that revealing and tease in increments, right? So there's a ton of things you can do, a lot of them, right? But what you want to see is when do you do that? And I put that in two categories, which is one, the timeline. And this is essentially, you have your date launch, which could be April 1st. And then that's when you're going to launch. That's the launch. Now the question is, how and what do we say and do before that? And it's very easy to create a timeline. I'll show you that below as well and map this out. So you can say, okay, 1 hour before the launch, 2 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. You can really market very actively. You can do one day before, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week before, 2 weeks before, 1 month before. You can do this afterwards as well, right? So 1 hour after the launch, 1 day after the launch, and you can create all these different points on your timeline and say, this is when we need to send out an email. This is when we need to make a post, all of that stuff. You also have the milestones and the marketing. So this is something you can partially plan out beforehand, but it's also something that organically can be created. And this will, of course, as well depend on the timeline. If you, for example, have a ticket sale, 100 tickets, or something like that, you can plan it out where you say, hey, we're now promoting or announcing that X% is sold out. Maybe you say, okay, cool, we have 6 weeks to plan this out. We're going to market that within 3 weeks, everything is sold out, or 2 weeks. And then after the 4th week, we're going to open up a new amount of spots. So there's things you can do that you can plan out. If you have something where you have guest speakers or you have bonuses in a webinar, you can also use this to say, what if instead of me throwing out all of this value, I just create all of these different sequences. I have partners, I have, bonuses, I have this and this and this. And you can plan that out as well, right? So yeah, you basically have the timeline and the milestones. So those are the two different type of, focus points when it comes to when to do all these activities that we listed out above. Now, I'm showing you a few things that I see as identifications of a successful launch. One of the things is a landing page funnel. It's a little bit biased from my point of view, but I always recommend this because it's just one of the best ways to collect the leads, right? So if you're actually launching something, you can send them to a page where that gives you the opportunity to explain everything. Because you're going to utilize multiple channels on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on email, those are all different communication channels, but you can funnel them all down to that same landing page. And then interestingly, you can even create tracking links and all of that stuff. But you can send everybody to one central place, collect all the leads, the emails, you can collect the SMS, the name, whatever you want. And on this page, you can have instant conversions, right? So maybe you're selling something, so you directly have people purchase. Maybe you have something where people register for or they leave their email for interest. But this central place allows you to collect all of that. And also, if you do it on a website where you turn it into a funnel, it's a process. So people see first page 1. If they take action, you can very easily and very organically sequence that out. So page 2 will be thank you, your ticket is confirmed or your registration is confirmed. Here's what to expect. Or if you want to check out XYZ, go here. If you want to give a funnel, you can, like an upsell, you can do that as well. And it just makes it a whole premium experience, right? So that's very critical. And then also it goes without saying is the content and the emails. You want to make sure that you continuously communicate this to your existing audience and people who, might discover you new throughout the time as well. The same for emails. And one of the things I recommend, depending on where it's relevant, is you can always create a LinkedIn event. With a LinkedIn event, you can just go to linkedin.com/events if you're logged in. You can create an event. So even if your event isn't on LinkedIn, even if it's just in person, you can create this event, and on LinkedIn, it will allow you to, invite your whole connections very easily, because you have a certain limit where you can, I don't know what it is, like send out 250 invites a week or so, and people get a notification. It's a very easy thing to get a lot of new people into this. It's just another extra channel that you're setting up for what you're doing. So depending on where it's relevant, but highly, highly recommend it, because you can always link to an external page. So yes, you could live stream on LinkedIn, but you could also link it externally. So you could have people sign up directly, and send them to your landing page, or send them to the link where the webinar is going to happen, something like that. Another thing that's kind of like an extra is like a press release, because this is a great way to also dominate the search result, right? So one of the things in the world of media is press releases, and this works very well because the Google search results instantly pick up. You can see it on the Google News. So now, let's say you have this marketing plan and you have a little bit of a budget, and doesn't have to be a lot at all, and you put in a press release. Now people, if they Google it, they'll also see this right away. And it gives so much more credibility and authority. It kind of gives that wow effect, right? So kind of like an extra thing, but those are the main elements. Now, with that, here's basically how to launch what you can do after it. So let's say you're doing a launch. This is what you can do after it. It could be right away, like the moment it ends. It could be perhaps a day or 3 days out of it. And depending on the nature of your launch, there's various things. But one of the things is you can create some sort of one-time offer. I remember when I went to this event, a few years ago in the Netherlands as well. It was like a nice event in a castle, very luxurious, very cool. Once you go there, after the event, we got an email the next day that, hey, if you want to come again next year, you get this discount. This is the only time we offer it, all of that stuff. You can very easily transition this into upsells and all of that stuff. Also, if you have a sort of launch, whatever the nature is, whether it's a product, a webinar, you should communicate that success. Afterwards, you should kind of, make sure that you're reusing the marketing material of that great event that you did and share it with your whole audience, because now people see that you're having the success. It's the public marketing. So people see like, oh, wow, he did this. He talked about it, and now I see these things, right? It also creates a bit more of FOMO. Plus, you can give it as some sort of incentive for people who missed out on that purchase or attending, and give them the special feeling of like, hey, this is what you missed. If you still want to get inside, this is what you can do. Other things you can, explore as well is, let's say you have something physical. You can always have like a photographer and say, hey, after the event, you get a photograph, so leave your email. You can have something where if you launch a community that within the first week, you have some sort of sequence where you ask members for their feedback. So all these different type of things, right? Now, here's kind of where it all comes into play, because there's a variation of things. You have the timeline, you have these milestones, you have all these different channels, all these activities that you can do. And what you want to do in order to market a launch is to outline all of these activities and just plan it out. Note it down and do that based on a timeline. I've personally worked mainly with two variants that I prefer and recommend and like. And one of them is Notion. So in Notion, you can create a sort of calendar view, and you can really easily create these different pages. And for each day, you can create as many pages as you want and create this big calendar so that you have a view day by day and see, okay, this is what happens on that day. All of these items are pages. So if you click on that, you open it, you have everything. And you can change the icon as well, where you give it like a check mark so you know it's completed. So all those different things you can do. This is something I like. I personally work a lot with Notion. So if you have a lot of things in Notion, it makes it very easy to do that. Another thing is using a board in a software like what I'm using right now. And you can essentially do something like here where you create your whole timeline. This could be 1 week, 4 weeks. This is, for example, what it looks like 1 week before the launch. And what you want to do is just list out all these activities, right? So you say, okay, cool. We have active social media content, which is what we're doing regularly. But now you can say, okay, what are these other posts specifically to promote this that you can do within these days? You can do the same with email marketing, and then you can just really map it out, right? So you can say, okay, email 7 days before, email 1 day before, email 6 hour, 1 hour, and actually for the launch itself. You can have whatever WhatsApp group, Telegram group. You can message your active leads depending on what's relevant. So you can do like Instagram lives. There's all these activities that you do. But the magic happens when you're actually outlining this, putting it in a big overview, and then seeing, okay, cool, this is the timeline. This is what needs to happen at X certain time. And now instead of saying, hey, I'm doing this launch, sign up, boom, that's it, you're actively planning. You're creating an organizational structure that allows you to follow it and map it out. And if you have some sort of high-level session where you start by planning this, now your next step is, okay, what is the checklist, right? So you can make a checklist of all these different elements. And if something is marked, you can just complete it. If something is completed, you can mark it as complete. So if you say, okay, cool, we're starting with working out all the emails, you can just make all those emails. You can put it in here. You can put a little check mark, whatever it is that you like to do. And this is just something easy where you can just copy paste and add your notes and all of that stuff. So very high level, very, active for me to talk about this and go over this. But this is truly what's the most important about marketing a launch. Very simple, very straightforward, but incredibly effective, right? So if that was helpful, let me know. Any feedback, any ideas, always open to communicate about it. But that's truly it. We're always doing marketing. We're always creating things. We're always announcing things. But the more time you actively work on planning it, the higher the chances are that you're going to get more out of it. So this is the main framework that I use, how I go about it, and everything you should know about it too. So thank you for watching and have a good day.